Awesome. Let's start. Uh, right on time. Okay, so I first of all thank you so much for subscribing to this channel and basically resonating with this. It means a ton. I always wanted like folks to be really deep into engineering, and I'm really happy that I've been able to crack that somehow. So thank you so much, every single one of you, for supporting. Uh, okay, and again, thank you for all the questions. I received 123 questions, and some of them are truly amazing. We'll touch upon them 100% in this one, and especially the research paper one. I really want to talk about how should someone approach reading papers, and why it is very important to read papers as software engineers, right? Okay, so let's start with the first one. So I'll just use the first name. I don't want to disclose the personally identifiable information in any way. So I'll just in the question that I asked you folks to submit, I asked for the name. I'll just refer to first name so that you know who asked that question. Okay. Uh, First thing, okay, let's just start with research paper itself because that is anyway on top of our mind because that's really important to have career growth. With respect to research papers, a lot of people actually find it difficult to read papers, right? But I would really like to say that reading papers is very important. The sooner you start reading the papers, the better it would be, right? So, and I totally get this sense that it's difficult to read papers, it's very dense, we are just starting out, we don't know how to go about it and whatnot. There are tons of questions around it. But what I would recommend, and this is exactly what I've done, right? So what I did is I still went through it. When I started, I didn't understand a thing in what paper says, and my God, it's so dense and all. But I still went through it. The reason I went through it because I wanted to understand. So the approach that I took in reading papers has always been I make first iteration. So first of all, assume that I have a paper to read, right? Then we'll also talk about how to pick a research paper in some other live stream. But assume that you have a paper to read. Now, when you have a paper at hand, now what you can do is first skim through all the pages of the paper. Just skim. What does skimming mean? Just go through random lines. You should not be worrying about understanding them, but just going through them randomly. With this, what happens is when you are skimming, you form big dots in your head that, hey, something like this is covered here, something like this is covered over here, something like this exists over here. Right? Once you have those big dots forming, then you start reading the paper line by line. Right? When you do that, when you start reading the paper line by line, what then those big circles that you had now starts to connect, right? Small connection, basic connection happens, and then you start understanding things a bit more, right? It's still okay to not understand a thing, right? But at least some dots will connect, and I'm not saying all dots would connect. It takes time. It takes long time for that to happen. So now what happens is that some dots get connected. Now it's time. So while you're reading it, some dots are connecting, but you'll obviously stumble upon something that you have no idea about. Make a note of it on a separate page. So either highlight PDF, that is fine if that works for you. So what I used to do, I do something very different nowadays. But what I used to do was I used to just make a note of things that I did not understand, right? Or new words that I stumbled upon. And then simple DFS, right? Once I've gone through first pass, I understood one thing, then I move forward. I start to see, okay, this is one thing that I did not understand. Then I go to Google, search that term, explore things. If I understand, not good enough. If don't, it's okay to have fade dots in your head. You don't want everything to be very crystal clear in your head. But first pass, do that, do DFS to try to understand the underlying concept. Once that is done, make second iteration on top of it. Now the dots will be even more strengthened. The connections will be even more strengthened, and which is what you need. So what typically happens, it takes you 4 iterations of a paper to understand it really well, right? Go for it. Do that. Really important. Now, how does this affect you in career growth? You would say, hey, but we build web applications. Why should we read research papers? I'll tell you a simple thing. Do you really want to build web applications, basic CRUD throughout your life? You want to solve big, challenging engineering problems, right? Now, for you to do that, you want to be prepared for that situation. Now, how do you prepare yourself for that situation? These advanced concepts, they come in very handy. No one will say that, hey, this is exactly paper that you would have to implement. But the idea that you formed will help you somehow. Right? It has helped me a ton, and I'm not even exaggerating, because I have habit of reading papers frequently. What has happened is I'm able to grasp new technologies very easily because it has structured my brain in a way that I'm able to comprehend everything. Right? And that is what you need to be a better engineer. That no matter what tool, what technology, what framework, what tech stack is thrown at you, you should be able to break it down into simple things and solve for it, right? So yeah, that's how and why you should read papers. How I read papers, I might create a video on it, and I will create a video on it definitely, a very in-depth on how I've done it and why you should do it too. But build a habit of reading papers. 1 paper a month, fine. If it takes you 1 paper 2 months, that's also fine. But go through that grind. It will help you in the long run. Trust me. Like, I am very thankful to my college professors who gave us reading assignments where everything was research papers. But that has helped me. I never understood a thing in that, but it helps us, right? Okay. Now I'll start taking questions from the form that I asked for you to submit. But in case you have any questions, there is a Google form linked in the description. Fill that out. I'll take your questions through that. But I already have 123 questions, a ton of things that I would want to cover. Okay, there is some very interesting thing around this thing. So with respect to career growth, someone has asked that what is the best way to approach a promotion internally from senior to staff, to be specific. So this question was asked by Arpit, ranges in 2 to 5 years of work ex, that what is the best way to approach promotion internally from seniors to staff, to be specific. The answer to this question is there in my video, which is coming tomorrow, right? How to become staff at FANG. Sounds clickbaity, but I had no intention to do that. But the staff role at FANG is very different than staff at any company. So that's why I have that in title. And I've discussed 5 points that you should be focusing on when you would want to internally get promoted from senior to staff. So that is covered there. Second is, great question again. What to do if relationship with manager is not the best in the team? Very formal and not great. Now, this is something that for everyone to have a stellar career growth, this becomes very essential. You need to earn the trust of your manager. A lot of people relate, or rather correlate this to bootlicking. It's not bootlicking. When you have a good relationship with your manager, it does not mean that you are just trying to make him or her happy and you are being that good kid around, right? It's not about that. It's not about you going against your teammates. Having a good relationship with your manager is very important, because your manager is the one that is bringing you projects. If you are earning trust of your manager by delivering things on time, that is exactly what matters the most, right? And have a good relationship with the manager. Now, if your manager itself is not reciprocating due to any reason, talk to that thing with your manager in one-on-one. That, hey, is there something weird going on? Because most managers try to be jolly, try to be happy, try to be friendly with their direct reports. In case that is not happening, try to bring the topic up in your one-on-one, and that really matters. Once you have earned the trust of your manager, you'll get good projects, you'll get promotions. And it's not just because you had good, like you have a good relationship with the manager, that's why you're getting promoted. But if you seem mean to people, if you seem unfriendly to people, why would someone want to promote you? Because when you go up the level, what happens is you have to talk to a lot of people, not just within your team, but across teams, right? Given that you have to talk to them, you should earn the trust of a manager that, hey, this guy or this girl is someone who can talk to people in a very friendly way and is very jolly to work with. That really matters. And now that's why when you earn the trust of a manager, you showcase this ability, right? And the best part is when you go up the level, there are very few slots. For example, for every 3 to 5 software engineers, there is one senior software. For every 3 to 5 senior software, there is a tech lead. For every 3 tech lead, roughly, there is a principal engineer or a staff engineer, right? And so on and so forth. So you see how it decays exponentially, like by a factor of 3 every time. Not exponentially, but basically, yeah. By a factor of 3 every time. Like for every layer, it happens like that. So given that there are very few slots up the ladder, what you need to ensure is you are the one for which, like, your manager should fight for your promotion, not the other way around. Right? That's why earning the trust of a manager is important. In case a manager is not reciprocating, bring that topic up. Discussing things solves most of the problems, right? So go for that, right? And again, just continuing on Arpan's question, the third one is around how do you highlight the value that you bring in every day? Do you consciously showcase it every time you communicate, or do you wait for the performance review meeting to showcase? Brilliant question, Arpan. Thank you so much for asking. This is again for a stellar career growth. You should never wait for the performance review that happens, right? That, hey, now I'll showcase, right? These are the things that I did, because in most cases, you would have also forgot what you did, right? So what I personally do, is my stand-up updates are very detailed, very detailed. I tell them the challenges that I faced. So typically at almost all organizations, whenever someone briefs you about stand-up updates, they say, hey, talk these 3 points. What have you done yesterday? What will you do today? And are there any blockers or not? Right? I don't follow that template. What I do is I tell them what I did yesterday, that is fine. But what I struggled, how I solved, now if I'm unblocked or not, and what I'll do today. Now that struggle part that I am talking about, that when you showcase that, hey, this is where I was facing this problem and this is how I solved it, it not only builds the trust in your manager that, hey, this person is a problem solver, this person is getting things done, it gives him or her the much needed visibility. When you give your manager that visibility, then automatically you are building a very good presence in your team. That, hey, I talk stuff, right? So people love to hear engineering, especially we are all engineers, right? So people love to hear that. And while you are talking about it, what might also happen is the issue that you are describing in a brief line. It's not that you should blabber for 15 minutes, right? But other team members would know that, hey, you solved something similar. They would come to you for help in case they are stuck on something similar. And that would help you in getting those brownie points that, hey, this person is a team player, right? And that really matters when you would want to climb up the ladder, right? So showcase the challenges that you faced and how you solved it in a very brief line every day in stand-up. Periodically, try to combine it, like let's say monthly email or something. You might have done some significant amount of work. Drop a note to your team that, hey, this is what we have achieved, and I thank these people who have helped me, right? Because it's never that you are all alone doing it. It is always a team's effort. Some other person might have helped you in some capacity. Gratitude. Showcase, like say thank you to them formally over an email. This showcases that you are a team player. You are not someone who is just asking for help and getting things done on his or her side, but you are also showing the gratitude towards others. Very, very important. And again, thank you so much, Arpan. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous question that you asked. Okay. One more question on, it was asked by Dipanshu. Is it a good time to switch jobs or to continue working at one job and handling freelancing work side by side? Now, thinking this as career growth, a lot of people now, I'll just twist it a bit around a career growth, as in that, hey, is right now, is it a good time to switch or not? Very subjective. There are some companies that are hiring, most of the companies are firing. A lot of people would recommend you to stay at your current job and not make switches, right? But on the other hand, you would still see some very high growth companies who are hiring very aggressively, right? So you might be tempted. Now, in this uncertain times, no one knows what would happen, right? So it's very subjective, and I really cannot comment on that if it's good time or not. But in general, let me twist this into a career growth thing and say this, that should you switch frequently or stay in the current job to get career growth, right? As simple as that. So what I did, I can talk from my experience. And it's not a crude generalization, statutory warning. What I did is I made very frequent switches in my career, initial days, right? But then I had a very long stint at an academy. So what I did, I have a very simple formula. Like we are engineers, like, so we like cap theorem. So this is my version of cap theorem. It's called a 3P. Like, so for me to evaluate my job, I use this 3P method. First P stands for paisa, which means money. Second P stands for power, which is your core competency, your engineering skills, your leadership skills and whatnot. And third is position, which denotes growth. It's more about 3P I wanted to fit in. So idea is to cover it in 3P. It's easy to remember. Right? So paisa, power, position. So when you think about this, for any job, you should get at least 2 out of this 3. If you're getting 1, you may think of switching. I have been very aggressive when I've made a switch when I just get 1. But when I'm making switch to any other company, I'm eyeing for at least 2. It's very hard to get all 3 in a company. It's almost impossible, right? But in most cases, what would happen is you should be eyeing to get at least 2 out of this 3, right? So when I make switches, so for example, I'll give you like my life journey on that. I joined D Shaw in 2015, post my masters, right? And that is where my actually career started. Before that, I worked for a very small company called Saba Softwares in Pune. So 2015 is when my career started. I joined D Shaw. D Shaw at that time didn't pay well, so I didn't have money. By the way, my monthly salary was 40K in hand. That's it. Now it pays in lakhs. That's a different case. But I didn't get money. The work that I did was around scraping web, front office D Shaw work. I didn't like that all. So I didn't get power, which is my core competency. I switched in 1.5 months. I joined Practo. When I joined Practo, I chose DevOps team. I got to learn new stuff. I got decent hike. Okay enough, right? Oh no, actually I got almost 2x hike because my pay was so less. Practo at that time used to pay 12 lakhs base. I got 12 lakh base at that time. So money was sorted. Power was sorted because of core competency. Position, I was a fresher. What would I do with growth and all, right? So that's why I made that switch. Similarly, from Practo to Amazon, I made switch for something. For Amazon to Unacademy, I made switch. So this is one rule that I have been following for a very long time. 3P rule. Paisa, power, position. Get at least 2. You need to have 2 at your current organization. If not, it's time to, like, you can think of switching. If you're getting none, then so definitely switch, right? So this is how I've been thinking. Now, making frequent switches is good when you are getting this, but far too many frequent switches does not look good on your resume. It does not, right? So initial switches make that, but after certain time, when you think that you are at a right place, stay there. My long stint at Unacademy is proving out to be very helpful because now other companies perceive me as, hey, this is someone who is not just ki growth ke liye is making frequent switches. Instead, this guy is focused on staying there and making an impact. Plus, when you stay in the organization for long enough, you will make a big impact. And when you get multiple promotions, staying in the same organization says that, hey, this person not only stays, but also makes an impact at work. Try to do that, right? Because if you have that long stint with multiple promotion, that looks beautiful on your resume. every hiring manager loves it. Like when I used to hire folks, I used to observe that. Like I still require someone who is very hungry for growth, but while at the same time staying in our organization, making an impact. Right? So that's a deadly combination. So that's how you should approach career growth. Right? In general, making frequent switches and whatnot. Okay. Anil, how you decide when to change a company? This is exactly what I answered. So thanks for asking that question, and I accidentally answered that. That's great. What else? What else? I'm just going through the chat in case I find anything interesting there. Oh, that's a good one. How to have effective one-on-one with EMs? Thanks, Ankush, for asking. Great question. A lot of people are, when it comes to one-on-one, what happens is you typically, and even I was at your place, even I sucked at one-on-one. I didn't know, how that happens. What question should I ask? And similar to how in interviews we get last question, hey, do you have any questions for me? Nahi, bhai, all good, right? One-on-ones is very important. I realized it when I was on the other side. Right? When I was conducting one-on-ones for my direct reports, then I started pondering, I should have asked this, right? So one-on-ones, again, very crucial. How to have effective one-on-ones, let's talk about it. Okay, so one-on-ones, what I right now do, because now I used to be managing people, now I'm back as an engineer, so I have a reporting manager and a lot of one-on-ones happen. So now what I do is I prepare for at least 15 minutes for my one-on-ones. Every one-on-one, I ask questions to my manager. I am always open. So a basic framework that I've used. First, I praise. I tell all the good things about the team, about manager, about work, about everything. Because when manager talks to you, the first thing that he or she needs to know that, hey, are you, with respect to your core competency, happy or not? Because if you are not happy, then there is very high chance that you are at flight risk and you would take the first flight and change the company, right? So when you are really happy, convey that. We are always in a hurry to convey the bad information, like the bad news. Hey, I'm not happy. This guy told me this happened in the office, right? So instead of cribbing, start on a positive note. This is what I always do. Always start on a positive note, because typically when your manager says, hey, like you go into a meeting room or start a Zoom call or something, your manager typically asks you this question, hey, what's up? Instead of saying, no, all good, start speaking out the good things about the team, the work, anything that you're doing, anything good. Like start on a happy note, and that breaks the tension. That makes your manager comfortable. That makes you comfortable. You both are now in a comfortable space to talk something bad, right? So in case there are any concerns, talk about it. Now, it may sound generic, but now I'll go into little more specifics of that. So what I do is if I'm assuming one-on-ones typically happens for 30 minutes. So if your one-on-one happened for 60 minutes, ask your manager to chop it down. Typically 30 minutes good enough to discuss anything. So out of those 30 minutes, 10 minutes I talk work. No matter what a manager says, hey, let's be casual, let's not talk about work. Always talk about work in your one-on-one for first happy thing. Then you spend 10 minutes, roughly 10 minutes into talking about the work that you are doing. Right? How you are finding the work? Are you seeing any challenges? How are you solving it? Right? Those things really important, because these are the things that you don't tell in your stand-ups. Right? It's very much possible that, hey, when your entire team is listening, oh my God, I should not showcase my vulnerability and whatnot. That are the things that come to your mind, right? So you are typically, like engineers by default are typically shy in talking about their vulnerability. So spend those 10 minutes talking about work, talking about vulnerabilities. Are you doing good or not? Any blockers that you face? Then you start creeping in any discomfort that you have. Maybe with a team member, maybe with someone from other team, something around that. Always bring up that, right? Now that work part is done, 10-12 minutes it would take. Then you talk about, because remember, you started on a happy note, you have to end on a happy note, right? You should never start or end your one-on-one on a bad news note, on a unhappy note. Never, right? And I'm giving you a very firm reason for it. Why? Whenever you start on an unhappy note, that makes your entire meeting boring, right? Because then you're not focusing on the good parts, but the entire vibe becomes negative, right? And when you end on a bad news note or on a bad note, again that same thing, because now your manager like, array, mood is ruined, right? I have to think about this. So start and end on a happy note, and in the middle crunch the bad part. It's a classic sandwich method, right? Whenever you want to convey the bad news, sandwich it between your happy things, right? So do that, right? Now when you talked about work, then spend 1 or 2 minutes talking about any long-term leave that you have, or any leave that you are planning, any 1 week, 2 week leave that you are planning. Tell this thing in advance to your manager. Talk about this in your one-on-one. Very important, because you should not be the one who should be basically saying this at the last moment. Hey, I'm going on leave. Right? Be very open about it, because your manager is already juggling between a lot of stuff. So give him or her less reason to worry about. Right? No abrupt surprises. Let's keep it open. Right? And in general, any concerns that you have around it. But these are like basic things you should definitely talk about. And in case your manager is very friendly, you want to talk something personal, go about it. I have never done it. If my one-on-one ends 10 minutes early, I'm more than happy. But I've never spoken about my personal life at work. For some reason, I'm very closed about it. Like, so that's my opinion. But depending on how cool, quote unquote, cool your manager is, go about it. Right? Okay. Even I have never thought about it. But thanks for asking this. Now it is making me wonder so many things. Okay. What else? Prithvi, thanks for that question. Almost 3/4 backend Ninja openings in LinkedIn are asking Java experience. How important is tech stack for career in backend? Again, very important for you to have a stellar career, what tech stack you pick, but don't be limited to one tech stack 100%. You'll see a lot of Java openings. Java is a great language. Although I say negative things about it, does not make it bad. It's just a personal opinion. Take it with a pinch of salt. And again, I apologize in case I offended anyone with this. But Java is a great language. A little abuse here and there is like, people have abused it. That's why I hate it. But I still code in Java. Day in, day out, I code in Java. Go for it. But with respect to tech stack, again, career growth, you should be flexible enough to adopt any tech stack. And I cannot stress this enough. I'll just give you my personal journey. I was at Practa, I used to code in Python. I joined Unacademy. I worked at Amazon, I used to code in Java. I worked at Unacademy, I used to code in Node.js and Go. I'm joining Google, I'm working in C++. You have it. You should be very, very, very flexible with tech stack. But you should be excellent in one. Excellent in at least one of them. For me, it's Go and Python. I write good Golang code. I write good Python code. Right? I still code in Java, decent enough. I don't apply very fancy design patterns. My code works. It's very performant. Right? Same with C++. I may not write with best practices, but it's decent enough to be shipped to production, because anyway, there would be code reviews. Right? But I'm still learning every day and being better. Right? But I should be proficient, quote unquote, because no one's very proficient. No one's an expert in anything. But you should be very good at a particular language, like a particular tech stack. But you should be flexible enough to learn a lot. This way, you would be able to adapt to any tech stack, join any team, and make an impact. Because some good projects might have Golang tech stack, and you cannot just say, "Arey, I know only Java and I cannot do Golang." You'll be missing out on good projects, man. Don't do that. Right? Think on those lines, that whatever the ask of the team or the project is, spend extra hours learning that. Really, 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 really important. Right? Great. What else? Let me take one more question from this. Now I'll take 2 to 5 years is said. Let me take 10 plus. Like you folks would like, no, let me take from 5 to 10 years. It'll be very interesting one that would come out. I'll pick one at random. Again, one question on promotion. I have a video coming up tomorrow on getting promoted, so that would solve, like that would answer a lot of questions around promotions. It is, although it's stays staff, but you can just trim down a few points and apply it to your senior to, your software to senior software or senior software to lead level thing, right? Okay, nice. I have that's big one, but wait, how to become by working on. Okay, this is a good one. How to become a better engineer by working on not so quote unquote asli engineering work in most companies where we spend most of our time. Again, really important for your career growth. That one thing, always remember this, and I cannot stress this enough. You should not rely on your company for your learning. Your organization that you work for should not be the sole source of learning. You should always think about learning on the side no matter what. For example, if your company is working on a particular tech stack, you are not so happy about it. You cannot just say, oh, because my experience did not allow me to work in, let's say, Golang, I'll not go on Golang. No, that's not how you should think about it. At the end, you own your career. You own your learning, right? So learn everything and anything that you can and ensure that you are not just relying on an organization to do it. Now, how do you do it? Let's say you are working 8 to 10 hours every day for an org. Now you say, hey, I don't have time to do it. Everyone has time. Everyone has 24 hours in a day, right? Sleep 7 hours. If you're sleeping 8 hours, just reduce 1 hour there. You get this extra 1 hour. Learn in that, right? Don't just rely on your company that, hey, my company gives me that kind of project, then only I learn it. Because the best part is, we are in an industry that is, or rather we as engineers, we as software engineers specifically, we are not bound by practical experience as much as other things. Imagine doctors. Doctor would not say, I just read 10 research papers, 20 books, and now I'm ready to operate. They need practical experience, right? They need practical experience to become better, right? Or not even better, to even just get started. Same thing with mechanical, same thing with civil. Civil engineers can't just read books and say, oh, now I can build a big building. Because practical SOM and TOM, strength of materials and all, that is really important, right? They need to have that physical exposure to things. We are very fortunate. It just takes us one library, one piece of software to spin up on our local machine and get things, and we all have laptops and whatnot. Do that. That's really important, right? Don't just wait on your company to teach you stuff. Now the next question that would come out, hey, but there are a ton of things to learn. What should I learn? If you spend time thinking what to learn, you are actually wasting time. Pick anything, just get started with it. In case you find it boring, switch. But don't waste your time making that decision on what to learn next. Always remember, pick the first book that you stumble upon, buy the first course that you stumble upon, and start with that. Instead of thinking the best thing, the best resource, the best book, the best mentor, the best person to follow. No, start anywhere, because right now you are at zero. I'm assuming you're just starting out, not just for your career, but you are starting out with respect to learning new things. Because you are at zero, you don't. Let me give a concrete example. Let's say the first thing you heard is gRPC. Now, instead of waiting to find the best book on gRPC or the best video on gRPC or the best course on gRPC, pick the first damn thing that you got at hand and just start with it, right? A lot of people, what they lack is they lack bias for action. Bias for action means that whenever you are given something, how quickly are you acting on it? That is bias for action. You should have a very strong bias for action. I have it. I have very strong bias for action. Instead of just sitting and thinking about, what should I do? This or that? Is this the good one? Is this the best one? I start with literally anything. With this strong bias for action, what happens is you cover that journey from 0 to 0.1, 0.2 very quickly. When you do that, you are suddenly in a state to know, hey, this is either boring, so I can drop it. I have basic understanding, so I can skim it, or this is not good enough resource. Let me find a better one. But at least you now have some knowledge, some information, some context about the thing that you are learning. If it interests you, you find the best one. But be very brutal about it. Just get started. A lot of people miss out on this. They just take a lot of time to start. It's like that vehicle which is not getting started. You're just waiting to start. If self-start is not working, hit the kick, man, and just get started. Don't wait for very long, right? So this is what I personally do. Helped me a ton. 100% recommended. 100% would recommend this to all of you, right? Okay, great question. Thanks for asking that. Okay, let me pick one more. Could you pick Oh, nice. Very good question. 40s. I have very much fear of 40s, as everywhere I hear after 35 it is very difficult to get job. Can you tell something about this, and how is this getting changed in IT, as India changed a lot of in past 5 years? Okay, career growth, again directly related to career growth, because you need to have a stellar career. If you don't have stellar career, what would happen? See, if you are bound to a particular tech stack, if you are bound to a particular tool and technology or a framework, if that vanishes, then what? Right? It's again, as I say, the hierarchy or the pyramid that we are all part of, right? Ton of software engineers, a third, like if you just see a factor of 3, right? It's worse than that, but let's assume factor of 3. For every 3 software engineer, you have 1 senior software. For every 3 senior software, you have this. So it slashes by a factor of 3. So our pyramid tapers off very quickly at the top. For you to have a long career, you need to ensure that you are part of this pyramid for as long as possible, right? Which is where, if you look carefully, if you visualize it, we think that this is not a pyramid, this is a rectangle. It grows like this. We all joined as freshers. We all are getting promoted. Now we all are senior software. We all are getting promoted together. No, it's not like that. It's pyramid. So now if you look closely in this pyramid, things on the left is getting trimmed off. On the right is getting trimmed off, right? So what you should do, you should try to be in the middle. How you are trying to be in the middle of the pyramid so that you don't get trimmed off? The answer is very simple. Always, and it does not mean you do hopping, you find things that, like, you are not bound to a particular tech stack. That's step number 1. Being irrelevant should be your biggest fear. That's my biggest fear, right? So I'm driven by this, that my biggest fear is I become irrelevant, and I don't want to become irrelevant. So which is why I keep learning new stuff. I might be sound cynical that, hey, this guy doesn't have quote unquote life. I've never lost smile on my face, right? And that's what really matters. You should focus on learning, and it is difficult. I'm not even exaggerating. It is difficult to continue your job post 40 unless you are continuously making an impact. So point number 1, don't bind yourself to a particular tool, tech stack, framework. Be open to learning new things. Be a positive learner. Be someone who is very curious about things. Step number 1. Step number 2, try to make an impact. At work, if it requires you to put in extra hours, do that. Make an impact. That would make your resume shine. You will be much more confident. You will get promoted in the same organization. It would be easier for you to switch because you have practical experience. Matters a lot, right? These 2 things I would highly recommend you to do it. Now, for example, if you are stuck in a tech stack or stuck with a particular framework, learn on the side. Very important. You might say, okay, Arpit, you're asking us to do everything. Man, you can't help it. It's very brutal out there. You know, like after 35, how things pan out. It's very brutal, and I cannot deny it, man. I cannot deny it, because a third of slicing every level, that too on a lenient way, you know what's going to happen, right? So that's what I have been doing for a very long time. It has helped me a ton, right? So I would give you all the exact same advice, right? What worked for me, but again, take it with a pinch of salt, right? Okay, I'll take one more question. Now let me change the year of experience. Let me go with less than 2. Okay, less than 2. Great. What advice would you give? Oh, this is a good question. Uh, but it's again what I covered. That's fine. By the way, the question was just to give you all the context. What advice would you give to someone who has around 1 year of experience working in a startup as an IC regarding switching companies, both considering and without considering the present market condition? Again, what I repeated in the second or third question that I repeated, do that. Use the 3P formula to evaluate if you are there at the right place or not. Right? I stayed there. I stayed at Unacademy for 5 years because I was getting 2 Ps, and sometimes I used to get all 3 Ps. But once I know that I exhausted, I'm only getting one of them, then I made a switch to Google, and it was purely because of that. So that is my framework of evaluation, and I use it every day, and I tell this in every Twitter space I'm part of, that this is what I've used to, basically calibrate my career. Okay. What else? Let me switch on years of experience to more. No, let's say we'll go to it college student. Okay. This is, master's degree, career growth. Let's talk about this. Should we do master's degree? By the way, thanks Soham for asking that question. Should we have how much does a master's degree matter in career progression? Direct question to career growth. Now, I can talk about it. I did my master's. From IIIT Hyderabad. I did my graduation from College of Engineering, Pune. College of Engineering, Pune is a very well-known college in Maharashtra, but outside of that, very few people know about it. So when I started my career out of College of Engineering, Pune, I joined a company called Saba Softwares. Now what happened is I always prepared for GATE. I loved diving deep into computer science, and that was the natural. I didn't want, so at that time we had 3 options. First, either do an MBA. Second, do an MS outside, from US or something. And third, do an MTech. I didn't want to do MBA. I didn't want to go to US. I had only one option, MTech. So, and I was preparing for it in any way because we had nothing else to do in the evening. So I used to do that. And back then we didn't have much internet as well. So what happened is I was constantly preparing for GATE. And this way I have, because of this, I got very strong computer science foundation because I prepared for GATE, solved questions, read reference books and whatnot. Now, because I was preparing for GATE, I knew I could do MTech. Now, then what happened is I went for an interview in Dell EMC, Bangalore, and I was paid less than what I was making at my existing company just because I didn't have the quote unquote brand with my name. Okay? So that's what I got to know, that College of Engineering Pune, well known in Maharashtra, no one knows outside it. That was my moment to go for an MTech. First brand, second I anyway wanted to dive deep into research culture. So given that I knew that I had to do MTech, then my strings split into, hey, which one should I go for, right? Or rather, which college should I aim for? So top 3 IITs and IIIT Hyderabad. I only had these 4 options. If I'm not making it to this 4 or one of these 4, I'm gone, right? I'm not doing MTech because I wanted to dive deep into research and all. So what happened is my GATE rank was 300 something. I could not get into the top 3 IITs that I wanted. So I appeared for IIIT examination and I cracked it and I went to IIIT. I did masters. Now, did it help in my career progression? Yes. It helped me because my BTech college was not known. My MTech college is. So it shows in my resume. No matter how much people say that college does not matter, I think saying that I'm from IIIT Hyderabad does influence the other person. I don't believe in it. People do. I can't help it. Right? But again, if I were only relying on my college name to get things done, I wouldn't be me. Right? That in combination with my hard work is what like it's what helped me become L6 in 7 years, right? Now, what has happened there when I did this part? Now, how masters has helped me? Masters, I was much more serious than what, like obviously, 11, 12, we are all fed up of studying. Then when we go to while we are in BTech, we don't focus much on studies anyway, right? Because we say, "Arey, chill marenge, we will do full chill and all," right? We are never serious about it. Then with that 1 year of experience that I had, when I got to know, my God, no one knows my college, no one gives me job because of my skills and whatnot. That it was an eye opener. So I was 10x more serious while I was doing my masters. It made me much more mature. Trust me, I was very immature back then. I'm still immature, but it's fine. I became much more serious about my life, about studies, about learning. It rewired my brain. And now my brain would not have been rewired if I would not have done masters, because I got that hunch in the beginning. No one was giving me a good decent job, not even a high. That's when I had to do masters, and it rewired my brain for the better. And then because my brain was rewired into learning, I built this attitude of constantly learning, and that has helped me. It's not the things that I studied in masters. It might not be directly the things. I was very studious while in masters because I was very serious because of that experience that I had. I focused on every single subject. I'll tell you one quick fact. Final semester, everyone took project. Me and 3 of my friends, we took 4 subjects in final semester. Where everyone chills, we took 4 subjects going deep into maths. I'll tell you the subjects: artificial neural networks, optimization methods, SMAI, statistical methods in AI, and one more was there, I forgot. And web mining. All detailed, all math. We went all in. We said anyway pointer doesn't matter, so let's take the hardest subjects out there, right? And that helped us. That helped us in challenging ourselves, right? So it's not directly the master's degree that helps you. How you leverage your extra 2 years that you are getting of studying, how serious you become, that matters. This is my view. Could be wrong. Take it with a pinch of salt, right? But this is what has helped me. I built that ability. I built that knack to learn new stuff. I built an ability to tackle hard problems. I built habit of reading papers from there during my masters. It was not because, and there in IIIT, even BTech folks do that. If they are serious, they do it very deeply, right? I was very serious. Most of my friends were not. I was constantly learning papers and this and that and projects. I did every single assignment on my own and whatnot. That helped me. That helped me gain very good, that helped me build very good foundation. So yeah, master's degree directly matters or not? Big question mark. But how you leverage the 2 years that you get at masters, that depends a lot, right? I leveraged it very well, and that's what helped me, right? Whew, great question. I'm so happy I'm doing this. Great. Okay. This was good. I was aiming to do this 45 minutes. Great question, folks. Thank you so much for this. Next live stream, when I'll definitely take other questions. I'll post a brief note about it, what I covered on my social media and on YouTube. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for, and I'm again sorry that I could not take every questions, but I have this chat saved. I have all the questions that you folks added to Google Forms saved. I'll take these questions. I'll do these live streams more often than not. I'll try to add as much value as I can, thinking about career growth, being a better engineer every single day, right? Once again, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for resonating with Asli Engineering. It means a ton. Trust me, I couldn't be more happier than this, right? Once again, thanks so much, folks, for tuning in. Again, apologies because I could not take all the questions, but definitely I'll do my best to cover the most unique questions that I get in the next one. Right? Thanks so much. Have a great night, everyone. See you in the next stream. In any case, I have videos coming up every now and then.